recording from the gleaming fake recycled plastic confines of a corporate boardroom where the air smells faintly of lavender and moral bankruptcy. It's your host, Donovan.
Welcome back, dear listeners, to Deep Dives in the Shallow End, the podcast where we rip the shiny, sustainable veneer off of modern society and marvel at the rotting compost heap underneath. I'm your not-so-expert host, Donovan, here to guide you through the labyrinth of lies, half-truths, and outright fraud that define the phenomenon of greenwashing. So grab your BPA-free, ocean-safe, possibly microplastic-infused reusable water bottle, and let's wade into this eco-friendly cesspool together. But remember, as Nietzsche said, when you gaze long into the abyss of corporate sustainability reports, the abyss gazes also into you.
Deep dives in the shallow end.
So what is greenwashing? Well, it's the corporate equivalent of dumping gas on a garbage fire and then charging you for sustainability. It's when companies spend more money marketing themselves as environmentally friendly than they do actually being environmentally friendly. Picture a used car salesman trying to sell you a lemon by slapping on an eco-friendly bumper sticker. I guess he has a point. The car doesn't start, so no emissions. That's greenwashing in all its duplicitous glory. And this isn't just a few bad apples. A European Commission study found that about half of all green claims are potentially false or deceptive, and a 2023 analysis of consumer products found that 95% of green claims are actually misleading in some way. Those promises, they're about as reliable as my commitment to going to the gym by January 3rd. The term greenwashing was coined in the 1980s by environmentalist Jay Westerveld, who noticed that hotels were urging guests to reuse towels, not to save the planet as they claimed, but to save on laundry costs. And since then, greenwashing has evolved into a corporate Olympics of shamelessness. The competition is fierce and the stakes, just the future of humanity. But if you need more convincing of greenwashing's pervasiveness, recent studies have shown that 68% of U.S. executives freely admit that their companies are guilty of greenwashing. It's safe to say that at least a few of the quieter execs are guilty of the practice as well. Just think about those water bottles labeled Pure Mountain Spring, which are just tap water with a label upgrade, or the airlines that plant a tree for every flight while their jets spew out enough CO2 to choke a herd of elephants. It's not just misleading, it's downright Machiavellian. And it doesn't stop there. Big corporations have turned greenwashing into an art form, an elaborate theater production where they're both the villain and the narrator. They frame themselves as the saviors of the planet while quietly continuing to wreck it. Remember BP's rebranding as Beyond Petroleum? That's aged about as well as milk in the desert, because guess what? Their core is still petroleum, and they make more than 60% of their income from it. You can put a Flintstones vitamin on a donut, but that doesn't make it nutritious. The oil and gas sector remains the crown prince of greenwashing, accounting for 22% of all greenwashing claims in 2024. And while overall greenwashing cases have dropped for the first time in 6 years, down 12% from last year, the severity of these cases has actually increased by 30%. It's like they're saying, we're lying less, but when we do, we're really going for gold. Like when my wife found me walking down Broadway late one Friday night talking to some of the local peddlers. And I told her I was simply street preaching to these nice ladies, trying to show them the errors of their ways. I don't know if she bought it. Greenwashing even extends into our grocery aisles. Those plastic-wrapped bananas with stickers claiming they're ecologically sourced, they might as well claim they've solved world peace. And let's not forget the laughably tiny compostable coffee pods that claim to save the environment one espresso at a time. Nearly 40,000 of those pods are produced per minute, with 75% of them ending up in a landfill. But I'll be damned if they aren't delicious and convenient. You know, before we dive deeper into this cesspool of corporate virtue signaling, let me take you on a little historical journey. Picture me as your Virgil, leading you through the circles of environmental hell. Though unlike Dante's guide, I'm wearing a thrifted sweater that belonged to my uncle, who died in it. And don't give me that face. You tell me a better way to get an original California raisin sweatshirt in a big and tall fit. I'm all ears. The art of corporate deception isn't new. Back in ancient Rome, merchants would zhuzh up their wines with lead to make them sweeter, literally killing their customers while claiming their products were premium. Fast forward to the Industrial Revolution, because so little of consequence happened between. And you had factory owners claiming that child labor was actually good for kids' character development. I guess nothing builds character like black lung and a mangled hand by age 12. But the modern era of greenwashing? That's a special kind of hell that would make Hieronymus Bosch reach for his paintbrush. It started in the 1960s when the nuclear power industry tried to rebrand itself as clean energy, which technically it is, until it isn't. Just ask Chernobyl's tourism board how that's working out. And as we continue closer to present day, take ExxonMobil. You might remember them as one of the world's biggest oil companies, a fact they'd love for you to forget. To that end, they've spent millions on ads about algae biofuels, even though those fuels are still about as viable as my dream of becoming a Calvin Klein underwear model. The technology to make it happen is the stuff of science fiction. Their actual investment in algae biofuels is minuscule compared to the billions they pour into drilling. It's like claiming you're a philanthropist because you wrote "get a better job" on the tip line at a restaurant. And then there's fast fashion, our old nemesis. H&M launched a conscious collection claiming it's made with sustainable materials. But dig a little deeper and you'll find that the collection accounts for about 23% of their clothing lines in 2021, which was actually down from 30% in 2022. And like that officer told me with his boot on my head after being caught driving uphill on Lombard Street, you're going the wrong way, buddy. I was in a confused daze. How was I supposed to know that you need to keep a window open when building model airplanes all day? Zara and Shein are no better, with Shein alone having released 315,000 new items in 2022. These companies are flooding the market with trendy vestments made to fall apart faster than my friendships. Even big tech isn't immune. Google claims to have been carbon neutral since 2007, but conveniently forgets to mention their Scope 2 emissions increased by 37% in 2023, largely due to data center electricity consumption outpacing their ability to bring more clean energy projects online. Although, if that's the price we must pay for unlimited, on-demand adorable cat videos, it might just be worth it. Meanwhile, Amazon brags about renewable energy use while maintaining a logistics network that would make a coal plant wince. And Apple? While they have reduced their overall greenhouse gas emissions by 55% since 2015, and they encourage you to recycle your old iPhone, they will still release a new one every year to make sure you're never not buying. It's like someone righteously crying, "I'm a vegan," with a mouth stuffed full of chicken nuggets while giving a cheeky wink. And don't even get me started on the aforementioned bottled water companies. Slapping environmentally friendly on a plastic bottle is like putting a Band-Aid on a sucking chest wound. The bottled water industry produces more than 1 million plastic bottles per minute globally, with only 9% of all plastic ever made being recycled. Nestle has the audacity to market their water as a gift from nature while draining 3.4 million liters of water daily from just one California site during drought conditions. They paid roughly $2,000 annually for the water permit while selling the same water back to consumers for about $168 million. So why does greenwashing work? Because we want to believe it. Humans are wired to take shortcuts, especially when those shortcuts absolve us of guilt. It's the same reason we'll pay extra for quote-unquote organic cookies that are still just sugar in a prettier box. We're not saving the planet, we're saving face. It's like me at a nude beach, looking around and then running back to my car yelling some inane excuse about having left the oven on or something. The reality being, I quickly realized that I'm woefully ill-equipped for such surroundings. Take that as you will. And companies know this, the saving face part, not my personal inadequacies. They prey on our desire for convenience and moral superiority. Social media only amplifies this effect. Who doesn't want to post a picture of their sustainable oat milk latte to get a few likes and mainline that sweet shot of dopamine? That's why they'll put a picture of a polar bear on the package and call it a day. Meanwhile, that bear is floating away on the last piece of ice left in the Arctic, probably wondering why those Coca-Cola ads from the 90s didn't save their species. I mean, if we can't trust Coca-Cola, in whom can we place our trust? It's also a clever way to shift the responsibility onto consumers. Ever heard of carbon footprints? That concept was popularized by BP as a way to distract from their colossal emissions, like the self-righteous arsonist who blames the homeowners for not having adequately prepared for such an eventuality. By framing environmentalism as an individual responsibility, corporations get to keep polluting while we obsess over using the scourges that are paper straws. And let's be real, paper straws aren't going to save us from anything but happiness. They're disgusting, they disintegrate halfway through your drink, and they're a distraction from the real issue. They're the equivalent of forming a bucket brigade to put out a Southern California wildfire. Good luck with that. We're like those medieval Catholics who bought indulgences to absolve their sins. Except instead of paying the church, we're paying corporations to feel better about destroying the planet. We will just keep tumbling through our mental gymnastics routine to buy products made in factories that would make Dickens say, "Bit much, isn't it?" And don't get me started on the performative environmentalism of social media. You know the type. Posting about saving the turtles while unboxing their 15th sustainable phone case of the year. It's like Marie Antoinette saying, "Let them eat cake," while posting about her gluten-free lifestyle blog. Now let's talk about the consequences. Greenwashing isn't just a harmless fib, it's a roadblock to real progress. By convincing us that they're part of the solution, companies distract from the fact that they're still a huge part of the problem, like a thief who steals your wallet and then helps you look for it. Sure, it's entertaining, but it doesn't solve the fact that I'm now stuck in Oakland at dusk without the money or identification to find a hotel. My problems are only just beginning. Consider the palm oil industry. Companies like Nestle have pledged to use 94% sustainable palm oil, but investigations show that about 20% of the plantations they use are still linked to deforestation and human rights abuses. This isn't just hypocrisy, it's actively harming efforts to protect people, critical ecosystems, and fight climate change. It's like slapping a low-fat label on arsenic, or Chipotle for that matter. Just as deadly, but a little more slow-acting. And then there's the matter of consumer trust. Greenwashing erodes faith in genuinely sustainable initiatives. When everything is eco-friendly, nothing is. It's the boy who cried wolf, except this time the wolf is a multinational conglomerate and the villagers are too busy sorting their recycling to notice. Young consumers aren't buying it anymore, literally. A whopping 88% of Gen Z say they don't trust brands' environmental claims. And can you blame them? When 40% of companies make green claims without evidence, it's harder to swallow than the kale smoothies these do-gooder hippie kids want us to drink. The damage isn't just environmental, it's also social. Indigenous communities bear the brunt of these fake solutions, losing land and resources while corporations profit. In 2023 alone, 1,390 Indigenous environmental defenders were attacked and 227 were killed. Meanwhile, corporations spent $7.2 billion on sustainability summits, well over the majority of which were held in cities whose air quality could peel paint off a wall. But look at those sunsets. And then there's the cost to innovation. By monopolizing the conversation with their false promises, greenwashing stifles real solutions. Startups and smaller companies trying to genuinely innovate often get drowned out by the deafening roar of corporate PR machines. Speaking of which, have you ever read a corporate sustainability report? It's like reading Ulysses on mushrooms. Lots of words, very little meaning, and a sneaking suspicion that someone's having a laugh at your expense. These reports are masterpieces of modern fiction, filled with more charts than a hypochondriac's medical file and enough corporate buzzwords to arouse a LinkedIn influencer. They'll tell you they've reduced their carbon footprint by 0.003% while conveniently forgetting to mention they've expanded operations by 500%. My personal favorite is when they include photos of happy workers planting trees. Well, a couple problems. One, nobody is happy outdoors. Nobody. Those who say otherwise are fooling themselves. Two, I'm pretty sure those PR photos have been recycled since about 2010, making it the most sustainable thing they do. I do the same thing with my photos on dating sites, but that only winds up with a handful of unlucky ladies being disappointed. Not a way to disguise deforestation and poisoned water tables. So how do we fight back? First, learn to spot the red flags. Vague language like environmentally safe or earth-friendly without specifics? Red flag. Products wrapped in a forest green color scheme but with no legitimate certifications? Red flag. Companies that brag about one sustainable initiative while their core business model is a dumpster fire? Red flag. Honestly, it's like what I tell myself when I'm on those sugar daddy sites looking for some older gentleman to keep me up to my nips and Diet Dr. Pepper and Cheez-Its. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. And I can't risk losing another kidney to the black market. Certifications can help, but they're not foolproof. Labels like Fair Trade or B Corp are generally reliable, but some certifications are as easy to buy as an influencer's loyalty. By the way, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to be Deep Dive certified. Always do your homework, and if that sounds exhausting, remember, so is living on a planet with a failing climate. But feel free to take a quick nap if that helps. God knows I will. And don't be afraid to dig deeper. Look for companies that provide detailed reports on their sustainability efforts and not just flashy ads. Check if they've been independently audited or if their claims are backed by science. If their idea of transparency is a vague promise, run faster than my prom date did for my karaoke rendition of My Heart Will Go On. Apparently the mic was strictly DJ use only. I didn't see any signs. Let's just say I've not been invited to any of my high school reunions. And educate yourself on supply chains. If a company can't tell you where its product comes from, that's a problem. Transparency is key, and any company serious about sustainability should welcome scrutiny. I, on the other hand, do not. I am more of a dish it out kind of guy. I can't take it, so please spare me the harsh commentary. And keep in mind that true sustainability isn't sexy. It's slow, unglamorous, and often inconvenient. Come to think of it, I might be sustainability personified. It's about buying less, reusing more, and thinking twice before clicking add to cart on that piece of garbage from Temu. It's companies like Patagonia, which encourages you to repair your clothes rather than replace them. It's small businesses and local farmers who don't have the big budgets for glossy ad campaigns but are genuinely trying to make a difference. And it's about holding corporations accountable. That means supporting regulations that force transparency, like the EU's Green Claims Directive, which aims to crack down on misleading environmental claims. Because if there's one thing corporations fear more than a bad quarter, it's government oversight. It also means supporting innovation. Technologies like carbon capture or biodegradable materials won't solve everything, but they're a start. What matters is that these efforts are genuine, not just PR stunts. Imagine if companies spent as much on real solutions as they do on greenwashing. We might actually get somewhere. And let's not forget the role of activism. Consumer boycotts and social media campaigns have successfully pressured corporations to change their practices in the past. It's not a perfect solution, but again, it's a start. Just think, every time you call out greenwashing, somewhere a PR executive gets sudden onset diarrhea without a bathroom in sight. And if that doesn't bring you joy, you might be a lost cause. But as we hurtle towards our inevitably warmer future, expect greenwashing to evolve faster than whatever is causing my increasingly hostile MRSA outbreaks. Soon we'll have AI-powered greenwashing, blockchain-verified sustainability claims, and probably some sort of metaverse where your avatar can virtually experience what it's like to live in a habitable planet. Companies will start selling carbon-negative products that supposedly suck CO2 from the atmosphere, like me, with joy at every party I attend. They'll market climate-positive lifestyles that are about as authentic as my online profiles that claim one of my likes is reading. Nobody likes reading if they have a television. Anyone who says otherwise is fooling themselves. Greenwashing thrives on apathy and ignorance, so the best way to fight it is by staying informed and engaged. Ask questions, demand better, and most importantly, don't let a pretty label fool you into thinking you're saving the world.
Deep dive in the shallow end.
True change doesn't come in a stick of eco-friendly deodorant. That's usually only good for keeping people at arm's length, or further if they're downwind. Rather, it comes from a collective effort to rethink how we consume and what we value. And that's our show, folks. Thanks for tuning in to Deep Dives in the Shallow End. Remember, while you're navigating the wilds of modern consumerism, don't forget to bring a healthy dose of skepticism and maybe a reusable shopping bag. Until next time, take care of yourselves and others, and maybe the planet too. See you next time.
Deep dives in the shallow end. Deep dives in the shallow